6:34 PM, and we are calling the City of Inkster Planning Commission meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Tanya Williams. Here. Commissioner Cheryl Hayes Bradford. Here. Commissioner Darrell Davis. Not yet. Commissioner Tavon Hall.
Here.
Commissioner Mac Willis.
Here.
Mayor Patrick Wimberly. Commissioner Rebecca Daniels, present. And for the record, Chairman Steve
Present.
Kissel.
Present.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We're down to item number 2, adoption of the agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the agenda? Yes.
Yes.
All right. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, the floor is open for a motion to adopt the agenda as is.
Motion. Second.
Been properly motioned by Commissioner Hayes Bradford and seconded by Commissioner Daniels. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're down to item number 3, adoption of the minutes. Item 3A, adoption of April 24, 2023 meeting minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
All righty. Are there any additions or corrections?
Yes.
Right ahead, Commissioner Daniels.
I don't think we've noticed it for a while, but the title says Planning Commission Agenda, and it's said it for a while. It should say minutes. I just happened to notice it.
Okay. Noted. All righty. Anything further?
That's it.
Hearing none, the floor is open for a motion to adopt the minutes with the corrections.
Motion to adopt the minutes with the corrections.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Willis and supported or seconded by Commissioner Williams. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We are down to item number 4. This is the first hearing of the public for items not scheduled for a public hearing, but on the agenda. If there is anyone here from the public at this time, please approach the podium, state your first and last name for the record, and you are allowed to speak to items that are on the agenda, not scheduled for a public hearing at this time. Hearing none and seeing no movement, we are moving down to item number 5, public hearings. Item A, case number 23-04 SLU, special land use. Drive-through restaurant at 27206 Michigan Avenue. The floor is open for a motion to open the public hearing.
You gotta make the motion.
Make the motion.
Move to.
Move to item A.
You gotta move to open
Move to open
the public hearing.
the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Hall and seconded by Commissioner Willis. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. The public hearing is now open. Ms. Dixon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Chisholm. The planning department has reviewed the application for a Big B drive-through coffee at 27206 Michigan Avenue, which is just east of Inkster Road on the north side, across the alleyway from the new sports arena, just to give everyone their bearings. It's about a half-acre site, and they're going to reuse part of the existing building that's there. They've already demolished the front part of the building that was beyond repair, and plan to rehab that into the total 2,700 square feet. This is in the town center district, which is why drive-through restaurant is special land use. We believe that this would help the vitality of the overall town center district, although it is a drive-through and more auto related, and the district is more pedestrian oriented. There's still going to be, I guess, frontage right on Michigan Avenue. It's not going to be set back with parking in front of it. And with the alleyway, it's the way it is, we can kind of route some cars to the back rather than having it take up the entire parking lot. So I would say that we have a few questions for the applicant, but we've been in contact with them. They've recently provided their revised site plans. There are some discussions with the engineering department about routing the cars correctly, so vacation of that alley is something that we're discussing at this point, but wanted to go ahead and have the public hearing. The representation for Big B, Ms. Mehdi, is here tonight and is here to answer any of your questions as well.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dixon. At this time, I guess what we'll do is have the applicant speak. We'll see if there's anyone from the public who wants to speak during the public hearing, and then anything that we have as well. Mind approaching the podium?
Evening.
Good evening.
My name's Jennifer Mehdi. Nice to meet you all. See you all again.
Absolutely.
So as you know, the old sports bar, we have been approved for the Big B franchise. And that's what we are positioning to put in there with the drive-through. Also with it being in the downtown district, we will discuss with Jane, but we would like to have some seating, maybe some tables and outside chairs, which would be really cool for people to be able to sit outside and have their coffee there. I think it'd be a great addition to the city. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant at this time? Commissioner Williams.
So I just heard you say about outdoor seating. Is there any room for indoor seating as well, like a
There
small
is.
area? Okay.
Yes, yeah, there is indoor seating.
All righty.
How much? You know,
So the total square footage is 2,700. That's going to be split to 2 units. So we're going to have between 12 and 1,400 for the Big B,
all right.
which is their largest model for any Big B location, is 12 to 1,400 is their max restaurant size.
And I apologize when I walked in. I didn't recognize your face when I
That's
came in.
okay.
But hi, Jennifer.
Anything further, Commissioner? All righty. Anybody else from this body?
I do.
Commissioner Banks.
Thank you. So you did say it was gonna be split in half. So one side is gonna be Big B, the other side is gonna be,
To be determined. Probably a restaurant, but
I love that. I love the Big B though. I'm excited.
me too. We need it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry. You said it's not gonna have a setback. It's gonna be right
So
up
if
to the
you-
street.
Yeah, if you look at the way that they're proposing the site, there's not gonna be parking in front of the building. There'll be a small lane because they're gonna bring the traffic in on the east side of the building, have it circle around back, kind of through that alleyway, and then up towards the west side of the building and then back around front.
Is this gonna be a building built from the ground?
It's the old sports bar.
I saw that, but half of it's torn down.
Yeah,
Yep, so the front was in really bad condition. So we're gonna leave the back half, restructure the front. So part of the building is going to remain.
Okay, so are you going over into the lot at all?
No,
So I'm trying to imagine, so the sports bar is, you're gonna do like a U in the parking lot? I mean, you bring them in and
So
come,
there's like an alleyway in between the buildings.
Well, that's. It's a picture where it's a grass.
like going behind by the ice arena?
Yeah, that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm old school. I've been around since it was the ice
So
arena.
it's
It's no
okay, so like
longer
where the
ice
bar is here, the arena is behind it, and there's kind of like an empty lot and then cannons.
arena. Okay.
Okay, so we bought the empty lot,
Okay.
knowing that we were gonna need parking, space.
Okay.
So the cars could funnel in and go in the back and come around
Okay.
and exit then out onto Michigan Avenue.
Page
Does that make sense?
It's not going to, okay.
That's great. So I'm sorry.
You're good. I believe they're looking at page 8 of the packet for the front view.
Through this portion and then swing around through there. That's gonna be the drive.
Oh,
Yeah, that little
this will
area.
be room to do that, really?
On the grass area, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, that's right.
If you want an example, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Arby's one similar to that on Ford Road that has a drive-through right next to it where you go in one way and you come back out around the building too, but I don't know how to
you
describe
coming
it.
down, coming about.
And Ford Road,
Mhm.
yeah.
So the parking lot that you bought,
Yes.
you didn't buy that for parking. You bought that to use to be able to maneuver what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
So I can see it, man. So again, we're coming in from the east, around the building and coming out on the west side of the building, correct?
Yes.
That's the, so, yeah, that's it.
Also.
Coming through there.
Oh,
Right, so it's
okay.
like right off Inkster Road, right?
Michigan
No,
Avenue.
Michigan
No, Michigan Avenue.
Michigan Avenue.
They're gonna
So
circle
that's-
around
that's
the building.
skating- That's the
right?
old,
Yes.
well, she's ice skating rink. Oh, you know what? Cause when I went to the Derby thing, there is a driveway right there, cause I was walking right there. Yeah, it's okay. I remember seeing that, yes, okay.
Okay. I don't know, in my head, I thought it's just one long building.
There is that space in there that's kind of like
That's
you
what I
almost
missed.
wouldn't have ever noticed it, but
Right.
it is there. I know.
But you still could get to it from Inkster Road though, through that alley, right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
There is
yeah, we
access
will.
there.
And actually from the back down,
Yeah, because
West.
the alley,
Down.
the alley. 'cause
the alley
comes
and,
all the way To west, to west.
Yes, it does.
The alley stops at
right,
west.
South River Park.
The alley stops at west,
Mhm.
which is the right next, so the alley's there. I think Cannon's would be on the west, and the old Chase Bank would be on the east of west, right?
Cannon is
Yes.
on the east, isn't it?
Yeah, Chase would be on the east of it, old
Yeah.
Chase.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
We might have to
I
take a
can
field,
definitely
we might have
see
to take a field trip.
Yeah.
Oh, just go buy some coffee.
See it, especially since they bought the parking lot, so, cause I can now see that you have plenty of space there to do that.
Good, Commissioner?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner,
I know you just. did
that,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
You good? Okay, anybody else? All righty, at this time, this is a public hearing, and this is open for the public to speak to these matters at 27206 Michigan Avenue for the Big B Coffee in the Town Center District. If there is anyone here from the general public who wishes to speak at this time for these matters only, please approach the podium, state your first and last name for the record. Hearing and seeing none. If there's nothing further from this body or the planning department. And did you have something about these matters, sir? Okay, you'll be provided an opportunity to speak after, these matters are resolved and we get to public comment, or if it's something else on the agenda. No problem. And is there anything further from the applicant? No, okay. And just to recap, we were discussing the public hearing for the special land use for 27206 Michigan Avenue for a drive-through restaurant, Big B Coffee. At this time, the floor is open for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'm making a motion to close the public hearing.
So somebody want
Second.
there we go. It's been properly moved by Commissioners Hayes Bradford and seconded by Commissioner Willis. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing is now closed. We're down to item. Wait a minute.
This is the portion to make the recommendation.
Yes.
And the decision on the site plan. So if we want to discuss the site plan further, we can do that at this point too.
Okay, and I guess it just threw me off just because I saw special land use under public hearings, but then I saw site plan and special land use under new business. So should we?
So the public hearing is typically a separate agenda item. Because you have to open and close that, and then we have the actual motion for action under new business.
Right, so we're good once we get down to new business. Okay, all right. I just confused myself. I'm sorry. All right, we have no unfinished business. we're down to that's item number 6. We're down to item number 7, new business. Item A, case number 23-04, special land use, and 23-035, site plan review. Drive-through restaurant, Big B Coffee at 27206 Michigan Avenue. Review and consideration of recommendation of approval of a special land use request and approval of site plan for a drive-through restaurant for Big B Coffee in the TCD Town Center District at 27206 Michigan Avenue. AAHM Investments is the applicant. Ms. Dixon, is there anything else we need to further review or discuss?
The only point of discussion that I want to bring up to this body is the engineering and public services department have not been able to issue their full review. We are waiting for revisions to the site plan, which we received, but we didn't receive them in time to provide the review for this meeting. In discussion with those departments, there were concerns about vacating that alley and the potential solution being to route them into the parking lot of the sports arena complex. And I think that that's a viable option, but it does seem like a significant enough matter that I want to bring that in front of this body. If you should choose to table this item until that's been further reviewed and you've received the official review from the engineer. Those are just some considerations because that is still city-owned alleyway and that would need to be vacated to see the site plan through as it is now, which we do not have an agreement currently.
And I believe that would be proper. We could still recommend the special land use to city council. And then we could table the site plan review until that portion is done and bring it back. That way we're not holding the applicant up.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that will be 2 separate votes that we take, just take a note for whoever makes that motion, okay? If there's nothing further from the planning department, then the floor is open for recommendation to approve the special land use to city council. Yes, that's it. I'm sorry. I'm reading and talking at the same time.
I make a motion to approve.
Excuse me, we didn't have to table anything?
No, it was
Not yet.
separate.
We'll table the site plans.
Okay, got it.
Separate.
Make a motion to accept, to move for special land use to the city council.
Make a motion to recommend
Recommend
approval. All righty, is there support or a second? It's been properly moved by Commissioner Willis and seconded by Commissioner Williams to recommend approval of the special land use to city council. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The floor is open for a motion to table the site plan review until what
June
date?
26th.
June 26, 2023.
I move to make a motion to table the site plan or the
That's it.
site plan till June, what?
26th.
26.
Is there a second?
Support.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Hayes Bradford and seconded by Commissioner Williams. Is there any further discussion? And again, ladies and gentlemen, what we previously discussed, we're tabling this until they get the information back from the engineers and so on and so forth, and this will come back before us to continue voting. Yes. All righty, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The site plan review is now tabled. We're down to item 7B, discussion of possible amendments to ordinance 155. One is additional uses. We have listed here personal service establishment, towing service storage yard, rental hall, banquet facility, truck depot, food processing, slaughterhouse. And those are all bullet points under additional uses. Number 2 is schedule of uses, and number 3 is sign standards for the town center district. Ms. Dixon, you have the floor.
Thank you. Commissioners, you will find a memo highlighting these proposed changes on page 24 of 30 of your packet if you're looking at the PDF. The planning department, in discussion with applicants, have noticed that there are some definitions that are missing from our zoning ordinance, which makes it difficult to administer the zoning ordinance, and in the absence of these uses, a lot of times the next best fit is more restrictive than potentially what they are actually proposing. Because it is our obligation to go with the most kind of restrictive interpretation of the zoning ordinance. So because of that, we have proposed adding some of these definitions. So as you mentioned, personal service establishment, that would be barber shops, beauty parlors, cosmetologists, massage providers, massage therapists, dry cleaning, electrical appliance repair, florist, laundry, shoe repair, etc. There's a list in there, but the idea is that currently our B1 district, it doesn't actually provide a definition for personal service establishments, but these are local, commercial, neighborhood type service places. We've also received requests for towing service storage yards in the M1 district, and the zoning ordinance doesn't have anything regarding that. We have different automobile uses, we have storage yards, but we don't actually have a towing service storage yard. So without that definition, it's hard to define exactly, with a tow truck coming in, keeping the cars there for a certain period of time, and then moving them or having someone come and pick them up. And like I said, you'll see further definitions written out. This is all for discussion at this point. So any of your thoughts are obviously welcome. We also have a need for rental halls. We've had some people come and inquire about the old bingo hall and the banquet hall, but we don't have a current definition for rental halls where you can just actually rent out the space. There's assembly halls, but those are specifically regarding private organizations, so private clubs or fraternal orders. And that just seems like we need to have a definition for rental halls. We've also added banquet facility as a definition. A banquet facility, the differentiation would be allowed to offer liquor. They would have a liquor license with the state. Truck depot as well. This is different than truck towing because this is an area where you just service and park trucks or similar machinery. Again, this would be for the M1 district, and we've had interest from applicants regarding this type of use. And then food processing, the M1 district allows for like a cannery, but not anything kind of more general. So we wanted to generalize that definition to include baking, potentially meat processing, packaging, bottling. And then we've also received interest from applicant about having slaughterhouses allowed in the M1 district, which we've added some additional use standards to that in your definitions about how long animals would be held, what kind of enclosures wouldn't be needed. And that's something up for your discussion as well.
I do have a question about that.
Yes,
So I know in the ordinance, and maybe that's just because it's in residential zones, there's some of the states where residents can't have livestock. Is that all over the city or is that just in residential areas?
that's residential areas. So the city currently allows poultry
Okay,
in the M1, but nothing beyond poultry. And in fact, actually, there's one clause that explicitly prohibits any slaughter of other livestock.
okay.
There's obviously this would be a sensitive use, especially given that your industrial area is located so close to many residential areas. And it's something that we're offering again as discussion. We're not necessarily, asking that this be the only way forward, but this is an idea that we've heard from the administration and applicants that we want to explore.
Question, dealing with slaughterhouses, I know that a lot of the residents will be grandfathered in, and I can just imagine the smell of meat and live cattle and what area is this?
Yeah, my question.
M1.
And what
M1,
is considered
that's,
M1?
where that's from?
Yeah, what is M1 considered? What?
That's.
So it's the south of the railroad
Okay,
to, I don't have the map in front of me, but roughly about 2 or 3 blocks of depth to the south. So it varies a little bit throughout the city, but 2 to 3 blocks to the south of the railroad tracks.
Definitely not north.
so that would be like the railroad tracks to, well, that even would be past Cherry then, correct?
There's cherries included in that. And at that point, I think it's really only 1 block deep, so one side of Cherry is residential and one
Right.
is industrial.
Okay, okay.
I do see your hand, sir. We're just discussing it right now. You will again still have an opportunity to speak.
My question, again, newbie on horizon, you're asking for the discussion of possible amendments. This body is not writing those definitions, correct?
No, the definitions have been included in your packet, so we can, edit those or revise those to your desires, but we have provided you a basis to consider.
Okay. And the M1, I just heard you say is south and by 3 blocks of,
It
The
varies
railroad.
throughout, but
but it's nothing north.
No.
So I shouldn't be seeing chickens
Not to the north.
running around my neighborhood.
and there is potential to
I am seeing an influx of chicken,
I'm hearing
Oh,
them.
right, damn too, yeah.
I'm hearing them.
yes. But
I can't speak to that issue,
Okay.
but in regards to the positioning of the slaughterhouses within M1. There's also, we could add further restrictions of needs to be a certain amount of feet away from any residence. We could have it so that it would need to be located on a major thoroughfare, so you don't have the trucks coming and going with the waste and or the animals coming through residential areas. So there are additional considerations if this body decided that they did want to add that use, that we could make it a little bit more restrictive and sensitive to the fact of where it's located within the M1 beyond just the entire district.
And keep in mind too, commissioners, this is one of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong, I see it requires a special land use if one was to ever come before us. So if it's something that doesn't fit, the
Or too close to the residential.
vision, right, stuff like that, we can recommend, or the commission can recommend denial to city council, and the city council still has a final say. So, Mr. Dada.
Yes, so and also, odor controls and things of that. nature
Right,
Can
exactly.
be conditions of approval as well.
Okay.
Cool.
Or not approving.
Right, whichever way,
I've never seen them be able to control odor,
And the thing of,
really. Really?
and I was gonna say the thing about it too.
You have an example of a city?
Well, we know where the chicken girls are, right?
Uh-huh. No, okay, well, we discussed that.
We're coming, just a second,
I was gonna say something else.
we're coming,
Mm.
we'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back if I remember, I don't matter. But again, this is just a discussion.
Right. Like James said earlier, the way that our zoning ordinance is written,
Mhm.
it's not in the zoning ordinance, we can't get it close to whatever we have in the ordinance, we can't do it.
Right.
And so, like I said, we've had numerous people come in and they say, okay. And then you talk to them and then you say, sorry, I can't, and unless the ordinance is changed, we can't move forward.
Can you repeat that you have several people to come in and say what?
They've come in, let's say a slaughterhouse or a depot and things of that nature. And because it doesn't fit our ordinance,
Mhm.
ordinance doesn't include, it doesn't have a definition.
Mhm.
By the ordinance, you gotta go with the most restrictive, the most restrictive
It's
is
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and just so you all know, I rode around with the ordinance one day and we were locating a rooster. We found it. And we thought we were gonna have to extract it. I wanted to see that, but the homeowner relocated it to a different city. And that's why I was inquiring about the ordinance, because I knew we got calls. And it's funny, we were riding around the city looking, and the homeowners of who were affected by the rooster were literally wrapping chicken wire around their garden at the time. And we were just riding with the windows down, the radio off real slow, listening, and then we finally heard it and saw it. And that's where we were able to, locate and identify, because residents haven't called it in. Not saying that's what's going to happen, but just that's why I had asked that question, because I had been in that position before, where we were literally riding around looking for a rooster.
So, excuse me, so you said that the neighbors were putting nets, putting
Chicken wire.
chicken wire around.
around their
So-
raised garden.
So they didn't, they was okay with it? So why didn't they come in?
No, that's why we were looking for it.
Oh, okay.
The neighbors
Okay.
had been calling in.
Okay,
And when we were riding neighborhood, we just so happened to see them covering it, and we asked them like, what's going on? They said, we covering this to protect it from, the rooster or whatever. And we're like, where is it? And then we heard it. And I said, wait a minute. And I looked, I said, there it is right there. It was in a different yard. Because it would just jump over the fence and go in their yard, eat what it wanted, and go back home. So,
and the homeowner that owned this rooster was okay with this rooster going all of this?
I can't confirm or deny. I'm just telling you what the situation was at hand.
That is okay.
But yeah, they relocated it and, went from there, but that's all.
Mm.
That's why I had asked that question about livestock, because I just didn't know if it's conflicted or how it worked, that's all. Again, this is just discussion, so if there's any suggestions or recommendations that you guys have, I guess either at this time or maybe in the future, because it still has to come out for public hearing and the city council and all that stuff, so.
Very interesting.
All right, I'm sorry, so we were, go back to the top. But you have the floor restriction.
Yes, so we do follow those definitions with schedule of uses for the uses that are being added that aren't currently included in the zoning ordinance. And we've suggested that if you were to pass this, a banquet facility and rental hall would be permitted in the B2 and B3 district. You have some existing buildings that would be well suited for this, and we don't think that it would be out of character in terms of needing a special land use with those types of uses. The truck depot and the towing service storage yard would be suggested as special land uses, as are your other auto-related service yards in the M1 only. And then food processing, because that's all internal, you already have canneries. We're just kind of extending that, would be permitted in the M1. And then we have also included that nursing and convalescent homes would be added as a special land use to the B1, which is very small neighborhood nodes at particular intersections. So we have one parcel that has a property that was previously a nursing home, and people have come and wanted to use it for different housing type uses, but because it's zoned B1, it's incredibly restrictive. So this property keeps sitting vacant because we can't really find a good use for the current layout. And nursing homes, in theory, should be something that you can walk to if you have your loved one down the street. You can take your kids or stop by on your way home. We don't think that it's something that's so intensive that it shouldn't be allowed in the B1 district. Additionally, it has less vehicle parking required because most people in nursing and convalescent homes do not drive. So that part of it as well is not going to have a big parking footprint in the neighborhood.
Are you speaking about the John Daly building?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And there might be a history that I'm not aware of, but I'm also actively trying to reduce vacant parcels, and we've
Yeah.
had quite a few people come through with very dedicated interests in reinvesting in that, but it's not to the point where someone wants to tear it down, but it's also difficult to reuse that for anything else at this point.
So it's exclusive for nursing or convalescent center.
It would be, yes, so they would be able to do the other personal service establishments, like we talked about, they could put that on that parcel, or mixed use, so they could potentially do apartments with some like local retail. But
That was my question.
again, like, we've talked about that with some applicants, and the retrofitting is fairly expensive for how much that parcel is still kind of appraised for. And the B1 is such a limited zoning district that I don't think that this would be overtaking, any certain area, but it's just, I'm sure there might be a history that I'm unaware of as well, but this is where that logic is coming from. And then we talked about the slaughterhouses being a special land use in M1 with potentially additional use standards, which are also outlined in that map.
All right,
If you
so,
have any question about that section, we can kind of talk about that, and then we have sign standards as well I wanted to go over.
okay, go right ahead. Or did anybody have any questions before we move on to the next portion of this? No, okay, go ahead.
So currently, the zoning ordinance has sign standards for residential districts, all of the business districts, the office district, and the industrial district, but does not have specific standards for the town center district. This has created some difficulty in administering sign standards when we get an application in the TCD, because we are applying the business sign standards right now, but technically the zoning ordinance is kind of silent on this topic. The DDA back in, I think it was 2017, might have been 2015, actually created design standards for signage, but they weren't adopted and codified. So right now they're just guidance. We can't actually hold anyone to those requirements. So this would be taking those standards that the DDA kind of came up with and actually putting them into the ordinance so that it's something that we can enforce. Most of it is pretty consistent with the business district standards for signs. Some of it is a little bit more specific to try and create that kind of town center feel with the design and maybe smaller square footage on some of the wall signs, not so much on the, restricting the ground signs a little bit more. But generally, I think this really does follow the logic of the other districts. We also have added additional language around window and door signs with the idea that these are going to be more pedestrian oriented businesses, hopefully. And we want to keep that transparency. So signs shouldn't exceed 10% of the window or door area. We talk about awning and canopy signs, restaurant and cafe signage, and kind of what you can put out on the corner on one of those little boards. So I think the DDA did a really good job thinking it through, and I would be remiss to just continue to kind of leave those as guidelines and not actually enforceable in the ordinance.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? Hearing none, anything further from the planning department? All righty, we're moving right along down to miscellaneous. I just have one thing real quick. I know everybody wasn't able to attend the parliamentary procedure training that we had some time ago. I came across the pamphlet that I had received at that particular training, and I made copies for everybody. I didn't think earlier back when we first took it to make copies or get a couple copies for you all to have. So if you didn't have one, that's what that is before you to take home, use in any capacity. It's yours to keep. And that document is called the Basic Parliamentary Information from the National Association of Parliamentarians. That is 213 South Main Street, Independence, Missouri. So again, that is yours to keep, commissioners. Did anybody have anything else for miscellaneous? All righty, we're moving down to, that was item number 8. We're moving down to item number 9, second hearing of the public for items not scheduled for a public hearing or on the agenda. I know the gentleman here had wanted to speak to the matters we were discussing, which was just discussing. I'm going to ask him at this time to approach. I actually could have spoke earlier under the first part from the public. We're going to go ahead and allow you to speak at this time because those items were on the agenda, but don't worry about it. Come right ahead. State your first and last name for the record, please. Good afternoon.
My name is Ali Abdullah, and I'm represent the buyers of potential buyers for the property at 2660 Sylvia. Sylvia, it's like if you take this road all the way down to the dead end, it's right over there, which is like, it's all industrial area. There are a couple of residents which they are in the process of being bought by somebody. So it's mostly, it's all industrial, M1. And the slaughterhouse, which is, I don't like to call it slaughter, I prefer to call it meat processing, because the word slaughter, it means it's like, it's a little bit iffy, you know, it's like, I don't even like it personally. But we all have to eat beef, we all have to eat lamb, we have to eat whatever. And they are getting slaughtered. Let's call it processing instead of calling it slaughtered, okay, if you don't mind. The process right now, it has to be USDA approved. To be USDA approved, everything, the whole place is going to be as clean as this room. So now mostly the cattle, they'll bring them in enclosed containers, which is like to have, you had seen some of the containers on the road. They are not pigs, it's only lamb or beef. Okay, no chicken. Chicken is completely different process. And no matter what you do, it's gonna smell unless you follow certain criteria, which is very expensive. But as far as beef and lamb right now, they just opened one meat processing in Wayne City. Okay, and there are several areas which is non-USDA, and there's some that they are USDA. You drive by them, you don't smell anything. So there is no odor on the outside. When the cattle, okay, or the animals are brought in, they are in enclosed containers. We have to have a space inside that has to be cleaned almost every single day. It has to be on a cemented floor. It is not like dirt floor. You have to add, you have to clean it every single day, so it's not going to smell. After the processing, let's call it the slaughter, so everybody would understand. After the slaughter, okay, you have the guts, you have, the things that's not, it has to be, it's either sent to another processing, which is outside of this area, like the skin, like the intestines, the stomach, whatever is there, the blood. Those, they have to be in an area which is refrigerated. It is not like open and you're going to see flies coming in, you're going to see lots of stuff. So it has to be in enclosed, cold area, certain temperature. So it's not going to allow, either for other, and it has to be done. It's like, it depends on the volume. It's either every day or every other day. So there's not going to be, when they do the cleaning, it has to be high pressured, okay, warm or actually hot water to clean everything. And you have to use special chemicals to clean it every single day. It's not like, or you leave it for the second day, to go ahead and clean it. It has to be spotless. Otherwise, USDA lock down the building and say, goodbye, guys. You cannot process anymore. So there is going to be no noise factor, okay, unless somebody's ears, it's like they put some bugs inside the building and they could hear it on the other side of town. Or as far as the smell, it has to be contained. And it has to be removed from the building. And it has to be placed in a contained refrigerated area. Okay. Now, in addition to this, what we are going to do like small retail store, because I'm sure all of you would love to have some fresh meat, okay, which is, we don't have any fresh meat in Inkster either. So where can I have it's like fresh meat as far as beef, lamb, available for the public. So if you want like ribeye, you want steaks, you want stew meat, whatever meat that you want, it's available for you to purchase.
Oh, so you're gonna have a retail also?
Yes.
Fresh.
And just to give you guys an idea of the location he's talking about, if you leave City Hall now, turn down Trowbridge and go straight and make that left, because the street's gonna curve around, it's right there in front of you once you make that left.
I say that again?
Straight down.
Yeah, so
No, it turns, we go all the way down.
The dead end.
Go like back. Right here.
Trowbridge.
Yes,
Trowbridge,
all the way.
Okay, it's a dead end. There is nothing over there. There are no residential. There are only two houses, which is there. Some other.
So the address was on Sylvia?
Sylvia, yes. Actually, as soon as it turns, it's because Sylvia is very short street, just on the turn, and then goes back as Trowbridge. So it's just only short distance by itself.
So it used to be a trucking?
It is, it's still
I mean,
used
it is a
as.
trucking?
it-
Oh, okay.
This is Southern Street.
So when I look at it on the Google map though, it looks like a. Sounds like it's close to residential to me.
No, it's in the back. It's like it's like all by itself. Like it's like a building or two back there, I think.
It's like three
Yeah, it's like a family flat or something, 2, 3 units or something back there.
I see
Yeah.
that, goes down the streets, I got you.
So y'all got two field trips. Go by 27260 Michigan Avenue.
But that's not.
And this is
that's-
266.
So, Jane, so right now, this proposed, language to amend would allow this type of activity to be considered as a special land use?
That's correct. So we don't have an application currently. This would allow for an application. If
To
someone
be
were,
properly looked at instead of shot down, because right now we don't have any language to address this scenario in the
That's
first
correct.
place.
yep,
All right.
I was just trying to give you guys an idea.
You know, yeah.
So when the animals brought in, they brought in and put into the facility?
Yes. Now,
And you
it
do
all
everything right
depends, and during, the regular days. Okay, they may bring them early in the morning, or they may bring them later on in the afternoon. And the second day, first thing in the morning, like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, because by 12, 1 o'clock, it should be, mostly everybody's done. From the slaughtering, moving to the second process, which is storing them into. We're gonna have two types of storages. One for the second day. Right now, I believe they changed it from 24 hours to 48 hours storage. So it's gonna be 48-hour storage. We may, if this is already passed in the state, we may have to add smaller building for refrigerated to allow, for it's like 2-day killing inventory inside the building. Because you have to store it for 2 days before you ship it to the retail stores. Or before you could sell it. Okay. And the second thing, which is we are very interested in, it's aging. So let's say, for example, I don't know if you have been to some of those restaurants, which is, we'd love to look at their steaks, and they will sell you the steak for $150 or $200, 30-day age steak. Okay. Which is, if you eat it one time, it's like you're gonna start, save money, to go and have it the second time and the third time. So we're gonna have another small process, which is the only process for that is only refrigeration, but it's very expensive. It's the 10 by 10 refrigerated area right now. Our estimate's about $90,000. So, and we're gonna be using it mostly for steaks more than anything else, because you cannot put the whole beef inside it. Otherwise, it's gonna cost a couple of millions, to maintain that exact same temperature and add sometimes it's either some type of charcoal or salt to absorb the moisture. Okay, and make the meat, it's very tender.
Do you own any other facilities?
For me, I'm the realtor, but I
Oh, you're the realtor.
yes.
Okay.
But I've been into, working with the owners, butcher shops, and I've been to so many facilities right now.
So do your clients own other,
Right now, they process it a little bit far away. They go to another plants. Some of them, it's like in Bay City or close to that area. So they drive almost like a couple hours to go and kill it, bring it back for 8 hours. So it's a long distance to haul it. And what's special about this meat is it's gonna be all halal meat, which is the difference between halal and non-halal. Okay, I don't know if you know the difference.
Mhm.
It is not something, number one, you have to drain the blood all the way down, all the way from the animal, okay, which is that's what USDA stands for, they require that. Second, okay, when you cut it, it has to be one cut. So to eliminate, it's like you cannot just go and cut it like this. It has to be only one single cut, very sharp knife, and eliminate, the struggle of the animal, the pain. It's gonna have, I don't know what type of pain they're gonna feel, but this is what's supposed to be done. Only one cut. Can't have multiple cuts. The third thing, which is very important, whenever you are doing the process of the killing, it has to be turned at an angle towards Mecca. And
So again,
towards the position.
okay, to the east.
East,
Okay.
northeast.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the only difference. Other than that, it's actually the standards is very similar to the USDA. The only thing is just the angle, which is different. Okay. But at the same time, the standard of cleaning and all this stuff, it's almost the same as USDA.
Isn't it prayed over?
Sorry,
Halal meat, isn't it prayed over before the animal is killed?
Cradle.
Prayed over.
Great. All you have to do is just only, one statement, okay, which is Subhan man halal al-dabh, which is, and you cut it. Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
Okay, so God is the greatest.
Okay.
It's the same thing, that's what we believe. It's Prophet Ibrahim said it, when he took, what do you call it, the lamb, in Arafah in Saudi Arabia at that time. It's the same process. Okay. So it's anything different.
So is that the same building you're gonna slaughter and then you're gonna have a retail store in there so that?
I have, yes, because, the retail store, it's gonna be dependent, it's like for the area more than anything else. We are gonna have a packaging. Okay, it's like, for example, you order 50 pounds of meat and we pre-package it for you. It's like you want it to be 1 pound each hamburgers. We'll just package it and seal it for you. So you take it home, you can have it in your freezer for at least 6 months. Okay, which is, it's like you are buying, from Costco, it's not supposed to be frozen. As soon as you unfreeze it, you cannot freeze it again.
Correct.
Okay, so this one's gonna be sealed, ready to be, to go to the freezer, and you could store it for a very long time. I don't know exactly, don't take the 6 months, but I know it's almost, I keep my own steaks because I buy my steaks not when I need them, when I see them. So if I like it, I'll buy it and I'll take it and store it. So all the time I have to have like 15-20 pounds of steaks in my house. Okay.
One more question. And what is your affiliation? Okay.
All right. If you like, it's like I can take you all at the same time to the Wayne. The Wayne, it's right now, they applied for USDA. They are trying to get USDA. They are trying their best, to be USDA approved. They are custom kill. We are gonna be, it's like USDA, and after being USDA, you could do whatever, but as long as you are USDA, that means you meet all the state and federal requirements. So I could take 1 or 2 at a time. We'll buy 1 lamp. You could split it. I'll pay for it. I'll be more than happy to show you the process.
What we'll do is anybody from the commission decides they would like to tour the facility, we'll have them coordinate with our planning department.
Yes.
And then they can coordinate with you a schedule.
I could have one, like 2, when
2 at
we
a
go
time.
over there, we're not gonna tell them you are from different city because they're gonna scare the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are live, sir.
My friends, we work in the real estate industry and we are going over there just only to buy some fresh meat.
Well, two of us are realtors, so we can use that.
Absolutely.
I know we had a couple more questions and or comments, so we just want to address those at this time. Commissioner Daniels, oh, you didn't, I'm sorry.
Disrespected me and I'm calm.
Yeah. Sorry.
Commissioner Hayes Bradford.
You say there's no sound. And you're bringing, how many of the cattle are you bringing in at a time, and how are you managing to keep cattle quiet?
You know, cows, they don't make noise unless you bother them, okay? Number
You
one,
will be bothering them.
with this face. Just kidding. No, actually, I've been in so many facilities, honestly, we did not hear any sounds. But it's like the rooster ran away, okay, jumped from one fence to another. I promise you, this is not gonna happen with any dogs, okay?
No, they're just gonna run out the back door.
So this is one thing, because it has to be fenced and it has to be not fenced, it's very strong. It's like they cannot move. We are gonna see it's like they have gates and it's all metal gates. And as soon as they go in, they cannot get out. And as long as you are feeding them, you are giving them water, they are happy. Now, the way that the process is, you know, it's like an assembly line, okay? So you guide them through the assembly line, then you walk them through, you just, you know, allow them to walk and they will walk, they follow order. Now, this is, God gave us this creature, you know, to eat it, you know, he allowed us, you know, to feed ourselves with its meats, okay, and benefit from it. And at that time, it's all process very simple. You just walk them through, they get to the end of the line. At the end of the line, okay, there is a cradle, okay, and I'm gonna, they got 9mm gun, okay. They shoot it, you know, right between the eyes. It does not kill it. If you don't slaughter it within almost like 60 seconds, it's gonna jump. Okay. This is in every single plant of the whole United States. So some of them they use electricity, they are not gonna use electricity. It just goes unconscious for about almost 1 minute. At that time, it falls on the cradle, they remove it, they kill it, and they hang it. You're not gonna hear anything throughout the whole process. Lamb, the same thing.
Question, now you said,
Hold on one second, because Commissioner Hayes Bradford still had the floor. No problem.
So you're literally bringing what, how many are you bringing in?
It's gonna be, we are starting with 20 to 25 per day.
And it's like, I will never walk down the street and see a bunch of cows.
You're not gonna see that. You're gonna walk down the street to buy your steaks. You're gonna have a smile in your face. And if you want, we could have a barbecue grill outside. Okay, we'll barbecue it for you and you take it home.
But none of our children will see cows.
You're not gonna see anything unless you ask for special tour.
Is it?
Okay, then we'll go ahead and perform, because not everybody, I can't take my kids. Okay, you know, it's like, I came here a long time ago, it's almost like 40 some years ago. And my kids, all of them, they were born here. So at one time we could not, you know, there wasn't any halal meat around here. It was very tough, so we had to go and kill it ourselves. And guess what? As soon as they know this, I did it, they would not eat it. Okay, so I get stuck with it. So I have my own meat, and then I have to go and buy meat, which is killed by somebody else. Okay.
Your children will.
My own children, okay? Right now, when they were little, right now it's different, okay? They are adults, okay? And they understand, it's like, you know, they are people, innocent kids, okay? You know, you have to value the age and the feelings that they have, and we do. So I used to get stuck with that meat for a long time and just buy them their own meat, okay? So we're not gonna take little kids inside. We're not gonna allow to, regardless what it is. If they are not mature enough, it's like, this is not, it's like a scene. We all love to eat steaks, but we don't wanna see the process,
Right.
I don't want to see the process.
you see?
I'm done. Thank you.
Commissioner Willis, you had a floor.
Question, okay, now, the halal meat, they still shooting with the 9mm or they just cut their throat?
They're still doing it because otherwise you're gonna have lots of noise.
I'm sorry.
Otherwise, you're gonna have lots of noise.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the first time, if you're familiar with Canton, right between Sheldon on Geddes Road, between Sheldon and Beck Road. Now, number one, this whole area used to be old farms. Okay, this is in the mid-80s up to mid-90s. So there was a farm right over there, right on Beck and Geddes, and right in between them, between Geddes and Beck, on your left-hand side, there used to be, it's like a slaughterhouse. And I still remember that guy because he has his own electrical generator. He doesn't want to pay the government any money. He doesn't, still have no, I remember the whole story about him. So we tried to outsmart ourselves. We wanted to hold it down without shooting it. And we were 4 or 5 guys, and his killing area may be as big as this, twice as big as this area, okay? And we were stuck. It's like, if it moves, it will kick one of us, okay? We could get killed. So we tried a couple of times, then we said, stop. Call the imam, we called the imam. We told him, listen, this is tough scenario. He said, as long as you know, okay, it's just losing its conscious. No blood is coming because if you shoot it from here, you're not gonna see blood, okay? You're fine. So right now, everybody follows the same process. Okay. Because you have to drain all the blood. You have to leave it till the whole blood is drained, completely drained. Okay, it's not like you need to rush it and keep the blood inside the body. And you buy sometimes some beef from stores, you weigh it, after you put it at your house for a day, you're going to have like lots of blood, and then you get drained and you lose like half a pound out of 4 pounds or 3 pounds. So you're not supposed to have this thing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, not to cut you off, because again, this is just
Yeah, I know.
for a brief discussion.
Yes.
I just don't want to prolong it because again, it's talking about, we're just discussing, nothing being voted on. And the notice of land sale and all that still has to take place. Just want to make sure, commissioners, you don't have any other further questions regarding that, because of course, these matters will be coming back up. Okay. All right, hearing none. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank Mr. Derek and Jane.
Absolutely. Is there anyone else from the general public at this time who wishes to speak for items not scheduled for a public hearing or on the agenda? This is your opportunity for a public comment here at the Planning Commission meeting. I'm sorry, Mr. Dowdell, you had your hand raised.
Oh, I just wanted to emphasize, like I said, this is the preliminary.
Oh, okay.
Bring this to the board, the commission to gauge it and consider it and things of that nature, and also because this would be a special land use. We can set the standards of how we want the operation to run.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, seeing no one else from the general public. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner
I just have a quick question, because I understand that part of this language has come to the planning department. All the proposed changes in the ordinances that we're proposing, has there been expressed interest in these particular, of course, clearly the slaughter processing is one of them, but with all the language that is being proposed, is there currently a reason for it?
Yes, we have received either typically multiple inquiries regarding each of these changes.
Okay,
It really lasts 4 to 5 months. It's especially come to our attention.
okay. That's all.
And for the commission, I do want to emphasize, there is a public hearing to further discuss these ordinance amendments at the next planning commission meeting.
Okay. Ooh, thank you very much. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Daniels and seconded by Commissioner Willis. All in favor? All opposed? Motion. I thought you were opposing. Motion passes. This meeting is now adjourned at 7:40 PM. Thank you all for being here this evening. Yes.
The next